from America's heartland, this is GJRB, Clinton, Iowa. And good afternoon, everyone. Gary J. Russen here on GJRB, and this is the Gary Russen Program. It will begin in just a few moments, right after Gary J's news and comment. And it starts off with something really interesting. Did you hear about this one? Start off the news. Well, yesterday, late breaking news, as Sergeant Bergdahl was charged with possibility of prison for his walking away from his post.
Sergeant Bergdahl is charged under the Uniform Code of Military Justice with one count of Article 85, desertion with intent to shirk important or hazardous duty, and one count of Article 99, misbehavior before the enemy by endangering the safety of a command, unit, or place. As you recall, Sergeant Bergdahl disappeared June 30th, 2009 from combat outpost Maslalak in Paktika Province, Afghanistan, and was subsequently captured. Regarding next steps, an Article 32 preliminary hearing is a legal procedure under the Uniform Code of Military Justice designed to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to merit a court-martial and is required before a case can be tried by a general court-martial. Legal experts often compare an Article 32 preliminary hearing to a civilian grand jury inquiry.
And there you go, that's it. Sergeant Bergdahl will be facing a grand jury, or probably what would be called in military, it would be a martial, it would be some charges brought against them, what they call that, court-martial. And he'll probably face some nasty charges and possibility of life imprisonment for deserting his post a couple of years ago. And we'll be talking about that later here on GJRB. Also in the news today, I'll be talking about that later. What do you think about it? Sergeant Bergdahl could go to prison because he obviously deserted his post. Yeah. Talk about that coming up. Also, an interesting story we're going to cover next is comes out of I believe it's Florida. Florida, I believe it is. And I couldn't believe it yesterday. There's a bill being passed, but the mayor there rejected it. Irving, Texas. That's where it's from. Irving, Texas. Supported a bill pending that the state house that would ensure that the state would trump all foreign laws. Muslims in the community are upset as the obstruction of a newly established Sharia law. However, the city council voted 5-4 Thursday to a resolution affirming the HB 562, which states in part contract provision involving the marriage and relationship, provided that the forum to resolve a dispute arising under the contract is located outside the states and territories of the United States, and is to avoid void of the foreign law that would be applied to the dispute. That forums would be applied and violate the fundamental right guaranteed by the United States Constitution or the Constitution of this state. And like I said, some people there are pretty much up in arms over this story because they feel that they're not being treated fairly.
Anger tonight from Muslims in Irving. This after the city just approved a resolution that they say is aimed at persecuting their religion. Jeff Paul on the story, joining us live tonight where Irving's mayor is defending this vote that went down. Jeff?
Well, Doug, tempers flared here inside City Hall in Irving as council members voted and approved on this resolution right here in support of a House bill that forbids any use of any foreign law. Now, it was a more symbolic vote, but many Muslims who were inside tonight say they feel like they're being targeted and that it further solidifies Islamophobia. Please vote. In 5 seconds, the Irving City Council physically will change nothing.
And that motion passes 5-4.
But mentally, for the dozens of Muslims who packed inside City Hall, they say it crushes them.
I think it is the most disgraceful day as a citizen in Irving.
What Omar Solomon is talking about is the approved city resolution that supports House Bill 562. The proposed legislation codifies that U.S. and state laws supersede foreign laws.
The elephant in the room is that it's the anti-Sharia bill.
Many Muslims believe it's in reaction to a new Islamic tribunal that was just created in Irving earlier this year. The Muslim judges told us in February it was religious mediation for civil disputes like marriage and not binding.
Well, sure, you're in the United States.
At all. Muslim, Sharia law, Islam, even religion.
The mayor telling the crowd it's important to recognize the Constitution and unite behind U.S. and Texas laws.
Respect them, obey them, embrace them.
Muslims like Solomon say it's that rhetoric that furthers the stigma they say endangers them.
All we can do is we can take it to the ballot box. I mean, we will vote.
Now, state lawmakers in support of this House bill say it should get a reading later this month at a state judicial meeting, but it still has a long road before it sees any votes or is passed into law. Reporting live tonight here in Irving, I'm Jeff Paul, CBS 11 News.
Coming out of Irving, Texas. Well, of course, this is the United States of America. Now, I granted that, we have a right to practice our own religion, but what they're doing is forcing Sharia law on everybody. They're upset because the state shut down Sharia law. It's America, folks. That's what happens. You're not going to get that yet in America. That's all there is to it. Still have our freedoms, and they have that right. Their right to practice religion, their religion, and to follow Sharia law, because that's theirs. But what it sounded like to me, like the state, they want the whole state and the whole country to follow Sharia law. And I don't know, maybe I just didn't get the story, but from what I understand, a lot of people are upset because of the law was overthrown by the mayor there. Maybe clarify that one for me. Okay, coming up next, more on this story, and an interesting story that I found fascinating. You hear about this? This happened in I believe it was Brazil. A bus got sucked up by a sinkhole, and you should have seen this video. The bus is going down the rapids, like going down. Wow, it was like they got out of there in time. We'll have that story, and we're going to talk about the story that broke yesterday about a little over 24 hours ago, that it was discovered that the pilot of the German plane, German wings, purposely set the autopilot for the plane to go down. Talk about that one too. All that coming up. This is Gary J's True News and Comment on GJRB. You hear great jazz on GJRB with the best of jazz, up and coming jazz, jazz and smooth afternoon.
If you can't get enough of jazz and you live in the Quad Cities area, tune in to KALA, St. Ambrose University in Davenport, Iowa, at 88.5 on the FM dial. Along with some of that great smooth jazz, you'll hear a lot of great jazz programming.
And programming in other great music formats.
Like blues, urban, including rap. Also classic R&B and Motown with David Baker on Rewind, Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central. In addition, you get programming in Spanish and some great gospel programming too. For more information on that great programming you'll hear, check out their schedule at www.sau.edu/KALA. Even if you don't live in the Quad Cities area, you can enjoy KALA anywhere in the world with their internet stream. Connect with KALA. Listen and enjoy.
And we're back on GJRB. And this is Gary Chase News and Comment. And we continue now with a story that was quite interesting. Came out yesterday. And the story is about a pilot who purposely set the autopilot on his plane for it to go down. He purposely did that. And I'm going to talk about that here next. Purposely did that and caused the plane to go down. And let's see, I'm going to go into my saved. Okay, let's see. Stupid thing. I have to bring down my microphone just a little bit there. Okay, I had to turn it down. Here we go. Co-pilot of this plane crashed an airliner in France. The autopilot was doomed. German plane reportedly set to crash. And according to the story, they're investigating this guy right now. The French prosecutors explained in a press conference that the co-pilot of the German Wings flight appears to have deliberately crashed that Airbus. Bruce Robin, who's a Marseille's prosecutor, said that the plane's co-pilot, a 28-year-old Andreas Lupins, didn't seem distressed at all in the flight's final 10 minutes before it made that crash. The story reported that his co-pilot, the main pilot of the plane, went on a bathroom trip, pit stop. When he came back, the cabin was locked. He couldn't get back in. He kept on pounding on that cabin. Still no reply. Well, it seemed that the co-pilot, the guy who was flying that plane, cool as a cucumber, on the controls, his co-pilot pounding on the door to get in, no response. Evidence of purposely crashing this plane. Purposely. Went down, that's simple. Now, I'm thinking here that this pilot should have been investigated from the very beginning. What was his intentions? See, I think what's going to happen now is a lot of these airlines that hire pilots are going to be asking some questions in the preliminary interview for the job. I believe that what's going to happen now is that a lot of your pilots are going to get scrutinized now. the interview process to get the job to be a pilot is going to be more complicated, because they're going to be asking some more questions. And these questions are going to be, what's your full intention